Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club with 4 race starts. We're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3 and Category 4 riders.
We've got a large group of people with Para leading that off, and Para's gone out really hard from the start here. So Angie Para kicking off the start line at around 8 watts per kilo to really stretch that group.
Category 1 are at 8.5k. Category 2, 2k further down the road, 10.5k. 12.5k for Category 3 and 14.5 for Category 4. But what separates Category 2 from Category 3? Mount Pleasant going at about 4.5 watts per kilo on this descent. And that is incredibly quick on the way down. They're about to catch Angie Para.
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it? Look at this group as they come through.
These are big numbers. This is Category 4 women's racing. Now, they're not going to hold those numbers for long, but using them at the right time is key, and you can see it has pulled now 4 riders clear. Group 4 leaders on the road are about to get caught by Alicia and Tico, who has soloed clear of the rest of the riders in category. She's going to come into the finish. She's lapping riders on the way through. It's going to be Madeline Pablo, our Category 4 rider, who solos to a race win here today. So hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's Qualifier Race number 2. 12th of March 2023. Time flies when you're having fun, and we've had some serious fun on the Sunday Race Club so far. And when I say we, my name's Matt Payne. I am here once again to bring you all of the action. And I'm joined in the commentary box in our studios here by Emma Martin. Morning, Emma.
Good morning.
It's morning here, of course, but not morning everywhere.
We could say good afternoon or good evening wherever you are in the world today.
And that's the wonders of esports. We are totally global. We have people from all around the world. I think from 6 out of the 7 continents, one way or another, out there. Nobody in Antarctica that I know of MyWhoosh riding at the moment. But if you are, let us know. It would be really good to know if there's anybody down there in the South Pole. In the meantime, though, the Sunday Race Club continues. And of course, we are in our qualifiers, and we have got a cracking course because we're in Arabia, one of my favourite courses to ride on. Not so sure for the riders to race on. Emma, take us through the course.
Yeah, so today we are indeed in Arabia, Matt, for this women's race. So 35 kilometres of distance and 904 metres of elevation, and it is a mountaintop finish today. We've got a Category 1 climb that starts at 25.3 kilometres into this race. It is a 10.4 kilometre climb with an average gradient of 6.5%, but as you can see from the graphic there are some steps in that climb, so some steep sections facing our women under their wheels today. One small climb on the run into that, so a pretty flat course into that major climb at the end of the race today. So we also have 7 segments today, and we are going to see what is happening in the racing through those segments.
And those segments are discrete segments for people watching. They are not giving you an intermediate board saying who's where and when. It's saying who did what in that particular segment. So the 1k segment 1 between 2 and 3k, who did the fastest time through that particular segment. Okay, let's take a look at our riders. We have 4 categories in MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Category 1 in yellow, Category 2 in green, Category 3 in blue, and Category 4 in red. All our riders on different race start times, with our fastest riders, in theory, going off at the end of the race, and in theory putting the fastest time, hopefully all finishing together. Our first race starters are going to be category number 4. They are less than 1 minute to the race start. So let's take a look at the riders. Emma, take us through the race fields here for category number 4.
Yeah, so wearing those red jerseys today are category 4 riders. a list of individuals today, no teams. Of course, the team competition coming into play and the finals at the end of the month. But we do have new riders in this category today. So riders who have had their performances verified and been allocated to category number 4. So welcome to the new riders in the category today. It's going to be really interesting to see how they do alongside our regulars because we've got some good riders in here and we see some good performances. Pablo, Fernando, Gonzalez, Gallego, Agudelo was the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 last week. So a different course to Australia. Really interesting to watch what happens.
So our riders are lined up, ready to go in category 4 for our qualifier here today on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. And away they go, category number 4, the first race category in the Sunday Race Club. Up and away now. They're going to take the turns out of the pen and head out onto the course proper across this boardwalk. And then they're going to be turning off in towards the city, going out from this verdant, lush countryside into the town proper. You can just see this boardwalk taking them around and through. It's flat at the moment, and this is where it's key to get into the draft and into a position where you are going to be able to take advantage of that and get some rest. Emma, can you run us through the screen data? So what are our viewers seeing at the moment?
Yeah, so on the top left-hand corner of your screen, that is the data towards the rider that we are actually following at the moment. So Agudelo currently at 266 watts, pedal cadence of 65 and a heart rate of 141. Distance travelled, time and speed underneath that box. On the top right-hand corner of your screen, that is the parkour, the race route itself. And you can see the line at the bottom indicating that they're currently on a flat part of the course. And you can see that the whole group are together. There's a really tight blob of red jersey riders and they've all gone out of that start pen together, and take a look at that. That's a nice tight group riding together. Then on the bottom right hand side of your screen, those are the riders, the list of riders in this pack, and the rider highlighted in red is the rider we are currently tracking on your screen.
And in that box, we can see the time splits then between the riders. At the moment, one big bunch, so really no time differences to the right-hand side. You can see the position of the rider that we are tracking in there as well. So at the moment, Agudelo sitting in 7th position. And of course, because this group is out first of those riders lined up on the start list, which is increasing. So you can see 4 or 2 at the moment, 5 as it varies as Agudelo moves through that little bunch there. You can see out of 62 riders, Ella Vink that we're in with now, we've jumped in with, highlighted then. Ella, the first of 62, but those are the riders who are currently set on that start list. And remember, with category 1, 20 minutes away from their race start almost, it's still plenty of time for the riders to come and join and actually tick those numbers up. So a bigger race field in total race field today, Emma, it's pretty big, isn't it?
86 riders in this women's race on the start sheets today, and what viewers will notice is currently all the riders on that list on the right hand side of your screen have red jerseys. That's because they're all category 4 riders. Once the category 3 riders are on the course, there will be some blue jerseys allocated to riders' names, green jerseys for category 2 and the yellow jerseys for category 1.
Indeed. So the red jerseys of our riders in Rosso Red going through the Ferrari garage here, and you can just see surrounded by the fast cars. Whether or not our riders can match that horsepower, well, let's see. This bunch is certainly putting down some serious power at the moment. You can see at the moment Terry Tandigan, those numbers top left-hand side, sitting consistently over 200 watts, much closer to the 250 watt marker. So really motoring on and about to go underneath the blue banner. This signifies the start or the end of a segment, Emma?
It does indeed. So those blue banners with the word start on signify the start of the segment, and if you look closely, the blue banner with the word finish on signifies the end of the segment as well.
I know it sounds really funny telling me it's start finish, but I have literally been stood at a start line on an international race and had a rider walk up to me and go, "Where's the start?" And I was literally stood underneath a banner that was like 4 or 5 meters wide, 2 meters high, that had massive letters "start." So for you, if you, like us, are bleary-eyed and up early in the morning, then maybe you probably want that pointing out as we go through. Right, hopefully our riders in category 3 are a bit more awake and with it have warmed up and are ready. Let's go through our category race field. Our team today, well, Team Golden Light, once again back in with us, but a huge list of riders as well, and some really cracking riders in there, and new joiners too.
Yeah, so 18 riders on the start sheets of Category 3 today. So Antico, Lopez, Quintero, Ribalda and Fioroni was the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 last week. And we've got some good riders in there today and some riders joining now that verification of performance has taken place. So Rossi joining the start sheets today.
So our riders in Category 3 are lined up and awaiting their race start.
So we're in with Zabala as the power starts to wind up. The cadence starts to pick up and away the Category 3 women go on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. We are qualifier race number 2 in March, and the women are now out of the start pen and turning onto the course proper. So the flat start here, making the riders pick up momentum really quickly, and the pace of the pack moving strongly and fast as they come out of those start pens. They're taking that right-hand corner, and Zabala is stretching this group. We've got Zabala on the front here, and you know this course is stretching these riders across this water, across these bridges, and the back of this group are going to have to be careful that they don't get caught out at the start today.
And a gap can very easily open on this. This is what we're watching at the moment. We're just starting to see gaps open up, and riders have to respond fast, get back into the wheels, otherwise they're going to have increasing work. Interesting, we've got some really irregular names at the front here. Ribalda, Fioroni in here. We've got Cabanatan in here as well. Zabala, really is a who's who. Antico back with us as well, and all of these riders we know are going to be aggressive in their racing. We have some very fast riders in all of our categories. That shouldn't put you off, because there is a category for everybody with 4 categories. It's really important.
It is indeed. In Category 3 and Category 4, Matt, we often see really quite aggressive racing because there's a real challenge for these riders. Category 4 start 15 minutes before Category 1, and that is real incentive to lead the race on the road for as long as possible and potentially take the win as first rider under the banner if those Category 1 and Category 2 riders do not make the catch. Very often we see actually more likely to be the winner in the Category 3 race take the win across the line as first rider across the line if our Category 2 and Category 1 riders continue to watch each other.
Indeed, I don't think Category 3 are going to be hanging around. Alicia Antico on the left-hand side of your screen, starting to stretch her legs very early here. Barco with her, and you could just see on that split screen, Category 4 were all together. Category 3, it's stretching out already. Emma's already looking at this thinking, oh, I wish I was in this race. I wish I was riding, I think.
I'm looking at the 3 riders on the front here, Antico, Barco and Hugita. That pretty much has been the 1, 2, 3 very regularly. These riders are always in the mix and always making the action. Interesting to see Sonia Rossi is the rider in 4th place. She is the rider who has been allocated to this category for the first time today, so fantastic to see her mixing it up with these riders and really making the action today already.
And if there was one thing that you had to say to her, given that this race is really starting to stretch out early, would it be don't panic? Because she's moved into this category. She's come in, and this means that she's really is going to be in a competitive category and probably feels, right, I need to go with every move. And that's possibly not the best move.
No, be smart is probably a good phrase today in terms of really think about what you're doing. Don't hang out on the front, let them make the action. There's a category 1 climb coming towards the end. So I would be sitting on the back of that pack and not doing any work and allowing them to take me into the climb at the finish.
But not get caught out by a gap here. We've seen Ribalda having to bridge across. A gap had opened. She was caught the wrong side of it and now having to move across. And that's why you've got to really pay attention. Now, the riders can change their viewpoint. So when you see our camera moving about, our riders are able to actually do a very similar thing with their viewpoint. But to do that, they've not just got to be able to know which camera angle they want, which view is best for that particular racing scenario, but also be able to choose that and do that and return to their standard camera angle whilst riding on their limits. So a very, very multi-talented rider is able to take a benefit from being able to do that. A lot of people racing with the live show as well. If you are racing, thank you very much for keeping us entertained and giving us words for the action. As you can see, categories 4 and category 3 are on the road, category 2 on this start line and waiting to go. So here we go. Our category 2 teams is Team RT Cycle Zone ladies. The Cycle Zone ladies team always with us, but another big field of individual riders.
Yeah, 23 riders on the start sheet. So Jadlock, Tan and Kokkonen in that team. But we've got Tanningen, Reynard, Sanchez, Montoya, Barragan, Para, Sinelli. We have got some fantastic racers in this field.
So category 2 lined up, ready to go on qualifier number 2 in March, and away we go. So those green jerseys move through underneath the start banner, head across onto the bulwarks. It's going to be a right and then another right-hand turn. They're going to drop down and it's going to be a right again. This pack moving out, and I think all of our riders out safely from those pens and now heading on to the course, 35 kilometers, the total race distance, and a huge amount of climbing, 904 meters to ascend.
Yeah, 904 meters, mainly coming in a category 1 climb at the end of this race, which leads to quite a flat parkour for the first 25 kilometers, which will lead to some fast-paced group traveling, I think, Matt. And this group is showing us how fast you can come out of the pens. The pace is picked up to just shy of 40 kph, and that momentum and that pack, it's really rolling.
And if we had to pick a category that are fast starters, it would be category 2, wouldn't it?
It would be category 2. Category 2 tend to go out of the pens really quick and push on because they want to stay clear for as long as possible of that category 1 race. But then there's a fine balance, because there is also the tactical and strategic option of having an easier start and jumping in the category 1 pack as it comes past and getting a tow. This course, very different to Australia on the Wollongong course last week, because this course is pretty much flat until that 25 kilometre mark. So a very, very good course for jumping in with a faster pack and staying on the back of the pack and using the draft to stay in and take an easier ride to that category 1 climb at the finish.
Well, I'm going to dive in a little bit deeper into that. It's a flat course, because I don't think it's flat, but what I would say is its gradient is less aggressive. And by that, and what I mean is it's a gradual ascent, which means that the draft effect, because they're moving at a faster pace, the draft effect has more to play with. Whereas there is a lot of descent. Come on, if what goes up must go down on the Australia course. If you go up steep, you go down steep, but it's very quick snap action. Now, as we move in with our category 2, you can just see we're already seeing a little bit of movement in here, and I think it's
Angie Para.
It is kilometer 0 attacker every time. Angie Para. Angie, I tell you, absolutely superb, because if you could rely on one person to rip it up out the start, we'd say it's category 2. It's going to be Angie Para in category 2, isn't it?
She pretty much always shows us her aggressive side and her brave riding. And in fact, you know, most aggressive rider of a Sunday can quite often be Angie Para.
Do you know what? She really reminds me of a friend. The person I regularly go training and riding with is a friend called Ian Young. He's a really, really class rider, just like Angie, and goes off like an absolute loon out of the gun, and always makes my legs hurt every single time. And I have to work so hard. The days he doesn't do it, I'm so much better at the end, because I've not had to respond. It plays into it. He uses the fact that he can start quick to make my life hard, and that's what Angie's doing.
Yeah.
She's making life hard. Everybody else is going to have to chase her 8 seconds. That gap is opening. One of these days, they're going to do what I did the other day and just sit up and let them go down the road. The fact that I was the only one who knew where the cafe stop was not going to take effect here.
I don't
they
think
let her
Para
go. She's going to be gone.
I don't think Para is interested in where the cafe stop is. I think she's interested in where the climb starts and where the finish line is. Because,
I should hope so.
Because she's showing today that she's down the road and she's now no longer in the picture with this group chasing.
Okay, let's move from Angie on the attacking category 1. On category 1 riders are here. Angie's on the attacking category 2, category 3, stretched out group. Category 4, a little bit more of a compact bunch at the front, but category 1 are lined up, ready to roll. We have a pack here today, a huge pack of riders. We've got some great teams. We have the Beast Mode team powered by Rose, and of course, Crank Sisters represented by the one and only the legend that is Jojo Bauer.
Yeah, so our yellow jerseys today, we've got 29 riders in this category today. And we have some fantastic riders in here. Estrada is in here, Biarhead, Geraldo, Bud Skyer, Montoya, Manshandi, Embring, Brogan, Cavado. This is going to be another great race today. And of course, Jojo Bauer, but Brogan, I think, is the one who has been on some serious form today.
So our riders are lined up and ready to go. Our final race category.
So down on the start line with category 1 women, ticking that clock down, and the go is happening on the banner, and the women are away on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. This is category 1 here today as they sweep out of the start pens and onto the course proper, picking up pace really quickly. This is a tight group this morning coming out of this pen.
So category 1 out and away. The race is well and truly in progress. All riders in categories 1, 2, 3 and category 4 now on the road, on the dusty roads, on the boardwalks, on the super smooth tarmac, on the asphalt. And as you can see, we're already seeing the firm favourites, the big names want to be up at the front. They want to be in this pack, and that collective will to be in the front group is moving it at speed and distancing a number of riders on the way through. Interesting name on the start list for you, Brianna Vine in there, I noticed on the way through. Is that going to be a dim and distant, or not so dim and distant, relative of the one and only Jay Vine? Good to see Jay back in action. Interesting post from him on social media recently, and great to see we've got so many riders in both the men's and women's teams that are supported by MyWhoosh, who have been in action all over that social media. It does make for some very interesting reading, and great to catch up with people. And if you are racing like Anna Embringers on your screen, make sure you get in touch with us. Make sure you give us a follow. It's Matt Fixer Paint at Biking Emma, and you can get hold of us, and we love to know what's on there. Give us a follow, we can follow you back, we can then keep up with what you're up to, and it always makes definitely for us a bigger, more fuller picture so that we can bring that out on the commentary. Now the riders are riding down the big boulevard down here, and as you can see, we've got race action already with the riders in category 3 are very aggressive. We're seeing groups fracture and regroup at the moment. Barker, Antica, Rabaudo up in this leading group. Agadello in there as well. Fioroni in here. The one name I'm still waiting to see, Rabaudo, is definitely in here as well. So Quintero just about making contact with that, but it's Antico again on the attack behind. The gap is 5 seconds back. So 5 seconds back at the moment, and that is a big gap at the moment in this group. Meanwhile, in category 1, just in with Robert Helene in here, she is going to be left chasing that main pack about 37 seconds up the road, but she's got company here. That is really important. Laura Ferraro at the moment, it's tucked in with Robert. So remember, Robert and Laura, that's Robert Helene and Laura Ferraro. Guys, work together. This is really important. If you're not in the big main pack, what you got to do, find another rider. Trying to solo is really hard. There's a lot of distance, as we talked about, jumping in with the riders, making sure that you get that draft. In a big pack, as you can see in our category 1 riders on the left of your screen, really important to get in that draft. The bigger the pack, the more benefit there is of being in that draft. Right hand side, slightly smaller group in our category 4, and you can see the distance between these riders. Well, it is mounting up. We are going to have about 7.5 kilometers on the road separating category 4 from category 1. Emma, you've come back with a smile on your face like you've accomplished a mission.
No, not at all. But I'm watching Anna Embring as they sweep round this roundabout, and this is a nice tight pack now in this group, and they are moving through really nicely. But it's still a steady pace, actually. Do you know what? We saw the earlier categories push on hard out of the gun, and we are actually seeing the category 1 pack now quite steady and rolling at what would be and will be a very comfortable pace for these female athletes.
Well, that easy pace, we talk about an easy pace for category 1. An easy pace for category 1 will be on the limit or over the limit for the categories below, won't it?
Yes.
It's all relative to the category that you are riding in. And of course, our new riders automatically go into category 1, and then when we know what their level is at, when we've analysed the data, then they get moved to different categories. And that analysis is continuous, isn't it, on the way through? So we find in our riders as part of that verification process that we'll probably talk about later, where we're looking at results. All that process is ongoing now. Category 1 about to go underneath. The next of our blue banners, this is the end of our segment number 1, and that means that the first of these discrete segments, let's have a look at this. This gives us a really accurate view and really interesting here, Emma.
Yeah, so Angie Para, the rider in category 2 we were watching put that attack in, takes the fastest time through this 1 kilometre segment. So 2 to 3 kilometres on this race course at a 1:44. Then we've got the category 1 pack led by Brianna Vine, and then we've got Dallasay, Geraldo, Gonzalez Rua, Walkenhorst, Bauer, Bardeskaya, Embring. These riders in this pack, not that far behind, but a bit of a stretch on that group coming through, around a second from the front to the back of that category 1 pack.
Indeed, and Angie Para really did motor through there, and that was
She
reflected
did.
by that attack that we saw on there. She went through faster than the rest of the category 2 riders, so really indicative of how fast she was travelling relative, and it shows also that relatively easier start for category number 1. Now we're in with category number 3. These are the riders in the blue jerseys, and as you can see, they are onto the climb at 9.7k. So this is the first of the ascent. So we basically rolled along. We've now got the slightly longer ascent. You can see on the top right hand side of your right hand screen the long gradual climb, and they are really just into the start of this climb, and already it's starting to do damage. Meanwhile, left hand side of your screen, Angie Para is at nearly 7 kilometers. So she is closing. She's still 3k behind the riders in front, and she has got clear air behind with a, wait for this, 20-second gap now. So Angie Para really pulling out the stops here and continuing to push on. And if you look at the numbers that she's pushing, she really pushes hard. But by the end of the race, this could be a very different story. Angie really does go fast from the gun. Some of the other riders will go quicker at the end of the race. It's very individual, as we were saying earlier, to what you want to do and how you want to play it out. It's also how you choose to race. It's about what everybody does around you and whether you are wanting to set your own pace or whether you are happy responding to other people. So sometimes it's just easier to go on the front. So let's get a quick summary of where all of our riders are. So our category 1 riders with the most distance to cover, they're approaching 4.5 kilometers. Our category 2 are up the road. They are at 7.25, nearly 7.5 kilometers. So currently 3k ahead. Then we have a further 3 kilometers almost exactly down the road is the category 3 riders, with our category 4 riders currently approaching the 11.5k marker. They are only 1k, 1 kilometer clear of category 3 at the moment, and that is mostly due, I think, to the terrain. They are on the big climb, and as you hit that, the time gap between the riders may remain the same, but if your riders who are chasing are on the flat, they will get closer to the base of the climb. The riders who are onto the climb, which is our category 4, and have been on it the longest, that distance will have come down. So the physical distance is down, the time gaps, well, we need them back all on the same sort of terrain in very similar place to get a more accurate time check. So let's take a look. We are going to head across in with category 1. Emma's been keeping an eye on the action.
Yeah, and we've seen some action from Brogan and Estrada. Alves is there as well. We've got a really good stretch on this group, and it's now all coming back together again. You can see the concertina happening on the top right-hand corner of your screen in that graphic. The group had been stretched, and Brogan had gone off the front and caused that stretch in the group, just testing the riders' legs here. The group all coming back together again on this slight descent. So Brogan, Alves, Estrada, Sakamoto, Bauer, Walkenhorst, all in this group, and now back as a tight bunch, rotating, should I get my teeth in, on the road.
Don't rotate your teeth, just put them back in. That's
no,
fine.
But the riders are rotating in the pack on the road.
It's really interesting how many words we have for the exchange on the front as the riders go through. It's known as churn. It's known as the washing machine effect. It's rotating through, and rotating almost implies that they're deliberately choosing to do so. But that's not always the case. It can quite often be a case that you are moved around just because of the amount of power you can put down, and what everybody else does as they come to the front, you push back, you then get a little bit of recovery, and that is the draft taking effect as well as the other riders varying in power and your own.
Yeah, and there's some real technique to riding on the MyWhoosh platform, you know, Matt, and modulating your power so that you're not on the front of that group is absolutely one of those techniques.
Well, let's see who's got that right. We're now at the end of segment number 2 with category 1 riders at that 6K marker. And as we go through this time, well, we have seen the riders in category 1 continue to push onwards here. Interestingly, quickest rider through this segment as well is also Brianna Vine. So same riders up there, but also if you look who's up there, Geraldo, Gonzalez Ruiz, Sakamoto. These are names that we were mentioning last time. Volkenhurst in there. About the same riders up there. And it's not because we've only got 12 riders in this pack. It's a bigger pack than that. What it's about is where they're positioned in that group and where they're moving through. So we are seeing some very quick riding at the moment. Remember, segment 2 was a 1 kilometer segment between kilometers 5 and 6. The next segment is also 1 kilometer, and that is between 8 and 9K. The first of our longer segments comes, in fact, at 13 kilometers. That's between 13 and 16 kilometers into this course, which is a really interesting part of the segment and the course profile. And we'll see that later on. But category 1 still on the way into the climb. Category number 3, well, up the climb, and it's Alicia Antico again, who is pushing on here. Either Antico is on some storming form, or she has far too many Weetabix for breakfast.
This is an interesting section of this small climb. So we've got 2 real climbs today. One is the big category 1 climb at the end. This is the climb that these category 3 riders on. This is the smaller climb that it comes about just around after 10 kilometers of racing today. And you can see the gradient isn't particularly steep. It's currently at 4%, and it's been at around 1.5% to 3%, 4% on this climb. It's enough for a rider to make an attack on. It's not going to do massive damage like the category 1 climb at the end, unless the riders choose for it to make big damage, because this is a possibility of an attack, and that is a conscious decision to use this smaller gradient to really push and break the group. So currently Antico, Ribaudo and Barco are the ones doing just that in this category 3 race.
And they have got the gap. So this on your screens at the moment is the attacking in a group. They've got 11, nearly 13 seconds, 14. It's increasing very quickly as they come up now. The profile is such that as you go out of this tunnel, it very quickly goes from ascent to descent, so from up to down. And as that happens, that is where the gaps really open up. It's a very thin end of what can be a very, very expansive wedge, because what can happen is if they drive over the top, and that is what we're seeing, they are not dropping down in their watts per kilo, they are continuing to power on. They can continue to open this gap out. Watch the clock, bottom right hand side of your screen here. We're at 19 seconds, 21 seconds, 22 seconds. It's going out, and that is because they've continued to push on, and they are chasing the riders in front, which are our category 4, which we saw on the right hand side of your screen just now. In fact, I don't think they're going to need a split screen to be seen. They're going to be coming up right in front.
Yeah, no sweeping around that left-hand bend, and they can see that category 4 pack in front of them. Really interesting technique, Matt. They attacked on that downhill section. 5.5 watts per kilo from Barco on that downhill section allowed that gap to expand really, really quickly, and has utilized the momentum of the downhill to chase and catch this category 4 pack. So Maria Jose Gallego is the first category 4 rider that this group are chasing and catching, and they are about to go through this pack.
They are, and this is a very early catch by the riders in category 3 to category 4. Even on this course, you can't compare course to course because it does change the dynamics. But we're seeing, because of this, a very fast movement and great tactical move to do that, because not only have they gone over the top, so they got the gap on the climb by putting the power in. They continued the power over the top, which opened the gap on the riders behind them. They've then caught the riders in the group in front, are benefiting from taking some draft on the way through as they jump the way through. And already you can see, as we look back from the leaders in category 4, category 3 are going to come past them. We're approaching 15k, so the riders are absolutely flying. They're going to make the catch before half race distance, and that is some going on any of our courses. Now we're just taking a look across to category 1. No surprise to see Gemma Brogan on the front on a climb, but it's early days, isn't it? And this is just a dip and rise prior to the big climb. So this is the start of the climb up. So we have a dip and then we have a rise into the long climb, because at 9k this is the start of that first early climb. It rises out of the dip, it levels another bump, then it rises a lot longer. It's the end of segment 3. Take us through those results, Emma.
Well, it's the end of segment 3, and you can see that the race was alight at this stage for our category 3 riders, because Ribaldo Fioroni, Antico, Barco, Agudela, Huiguita, Rossi, Gallego, Quintero, the category 3 bunch were the riders motoring through that segment faster than our category 1 riders.
And it's very, very interesting. So this is what we mean about taking a snapshot of the race at that point in time. We've got 2 major things to take from this. Category 3 moving faster than all the other categories because of the race action in progress. It was at the start of the climb, and you can see that the gap was only a couple of seconds, 2 seconds, between the riders who were attacking the 3 riders at the front of category 3 and the chasers behind. And by the top of the climb, it had gone to 12 seconds. By the descent over the other side, it had gone to nearly 40 seconds at one point. We're in with those attackers, with Ribaldo, with Barco and Antico, who are in with this group of category 4 leaders as well.
They are indeed. So the catch has been made from the front of the category 3 race to the front of the category 4 race, and they are all together now. It's one big pack moving along the road, and they are transitioning now at 16.2 kilometers. They have till 25k till they get to the bottom of that category 1 climb. Now smart riders, I think, would keep this group together until that point. Those category 3 riders benefiting from the draft from this larger pack, and this larger pack will motor faster, currently at around 45 kilometers per hour, but it's a good tactic, it's a good challenge. Will they stay together till the bottom of the climb?
Well, I thought it was very interesting that it had brought together the category 4 riders as well. Those riders who've been distanced by an attacking category 4 had got pulled back in by the category 3 who came through. They took them with them, and that brought category 4 back together. We're seeing a category 3 rider who wasn't in the mix there come back through the group, being caught here by category 2. But in contrast to categories 3 and 4, which were broken at this stage into a very small lead group and a chase group, This looks to be a bigger bunch with maybe 1 or 2 riders being distanced. The same is true of Category 1 on the left-hand side of the screen. Still big groups together.
Yeah, so our Category 1 pack through the last segment was 17 riders. And I'd say that Category 2 pack has got to be around 15, looking at that quickly on that climb that they're on. Now, 2 kilometres currently separating Category 1 and Category 2 at the moment, which tells me that the Category 1 race hasn't really started yet.
No, I think that's a very fair description. 2 kilometres on the course. They're both on the climb. Of course, Category 2 have been on there for a longer period of time, setting off in front. At Category 1, although we saw Jojo Bauer on the attack, this is a good view, actually, as the camera spins around and takes a look back through these tunnels at these riders. It is a compact group. To say it's got quite a number, and these riders, if it's compact, it means that they are all riding pretty comfortably. The pace is not on, so I think your comment there, Emma, that the race hasn't really started in earnest is true. It has distanced riders, though, and let's not forget that riders should not be worried about being distanced by Category 1 at this stage, particularly if they're new, because a lot of the time we're going to be finding out a little bit more about those riders to make sure they're in the right category. Meanwhile, let's have a guess who's on the attack. We've got big names in all of our categories who go on the offensive. It's Antico who's gone again, and of course this is on the climb that comes in at 17k, and this is basically, we do the big first climb, which is the biggest climb other than the final climb. We drop down into a gully, into a dip, and then we have to climb back out. So imagine going along the field, going over the bump, dropping into the ditch underneath it, and then you've got to climb back into the field level again. And that's what you've got. So you've gone up the rampart, you've dropped down into the ditch, you've got to climb back out to the normal level. This is the climb out, and this is actually quite steep here.
Yeah, it is indeed. Well, these women are climbing out into the desert, and you can see the desert coming in front of them, and the push is on here. And what is really interesting is that we have one of our Category 4 riders pushing hard to go with the Category 3 leaders. So Barco Ossa is the rider joining Ribaldo, Antico and Barco, and she is hanging on and taking the toe off of these 3 Category 3 riders, and they've got a small gap now on the rest of that Category 4 pack. But look at the damage done to that Category 4 group behind. We've got a group of chasers, but we've actually got a really long tail, because this is the defining moment in that Category 4 race.
It could well be if, of course, Bucko also can stay in there. Now, we said the racing hadn't started in earnest in Category 1. I think Gemma Brogan is eager to make a move here. She knows this course well. We know that Brogan has ridden this course multiple times with great success, and she knows how to ride a climb.
She does indeed, and indeed Brogan has ridden this course to great success, because this is the course the women used in the February final, and Brogan won that February final in 1 hour and 11 minutes. So looking to replicate her performance in that February final today in qualifier race number 2 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club in March.
But interesting that the attack, the power that went down, it's been eased off, and now Kelly Sakamoto goes over the top. Big kick from Kelly, going at 7, nearly 8 watts per kilo. I think Brogan was looking to take maybe 1 or 2 riders with her, and because she hadn't done that, she eased back down to about 4 watts per kilo. Then they kicked again, and now we're seeing attack after attack. We're in the tunnels, and a quick reminder, when we come out of the tunnels, that's when we start to go into the downhill. Still plenty of time.
It is, but don't forget, this is where we saw the attack in the Category 2 race. We saw them go hard on this climb, but we saw them go harder on the downhill. And it was the downhill section that really made the gap. But look at what damage Brogan has done to that Category 1 race. You can see it on the top right-hand corner of your screen on that graphic we were talking about earlier. They are stretched all over the road, and riders really trying to put a kick in to close the gap and stop the front pack moving away.
So the riders on that climb, really interesting. Now Jojo Bauer, after having been on the offensive, this is what can happen though. If you gamble and put in a lot of power, you then need a bit of recovery. You go maybe a bit too deep, or the other riders go and counter-attack with a volume, which is what's happened. There is a volume of riders gone over the top. They are still moving fast enough to pick up the drop. We're talking 30 plus kilometers an hour.
Yeah, and Vine, Biarhead are 2 of the riders who haven't been able to make the gap and make the junction here. here. Embring is also 5 seconds down, and Manshandi hasn't made the closure.
And this is a decisive moment. We're going over the top. That thin end of the wedge is now being put in. How fast will the gap open as they come over the top? If you have more riders in the group behind, you will come on to the riders in front. If you've got more riders in the group in front, it's almost impossible for the riders behind to close you down. This is a good number up here. You can see riders fighting to get into the pack here. I think this is going to number about 7, maybe 8 riders, and I'm sure we'll be looking at those numbers to try and make sure we catch everybody a snapshot as we go over the top here. But this is really telling. This is a decisive moment. They've gone over the top. They're on to the descent down. You can see they've got a long way to go in to the flat at the bottom of this. They go across the flat and then they go back up that steep second part, the exit. On that course profile, you saw climb number 1, big descent where we go lower, and then the push up, and that is where Jenny Sanchez now is on the move. She's putting an attack in category 2 here. Jenny Sanchez and Manuela Sanchez, they did this on this self-same climb, back out and racing in the finals. This is where they put their move in. It was Sanchez and Sanchez in category 2 on here. They really ripped it up, and I tell you what, it's like a photocopy almost.
Yeah.
Come on, Manuela, where are you? You need to be up with Jenny because these were the riders who did it last time.
Well, the question is, can Sanchez and Sanchez put an attack in here and make it stick? Because last time the top 5 came straight past them on the category 1 climb at the end. So will a brave rider, Jenny Sanchez, pushing off the front there, be rewarded today? I think this pack is going to come back together again, because I think these category 2 women are not wanting this to split up at the moment, but it is stretching and there is a gap forming, Matt, and you can just see that on the top right hand corner of your screen. The gradient is up at 7% and it is now starting to do some damage. I think this group is going to get whittled down, but I don't think we are going to see a lone leader ride off into the distance.
No, that would be a brave stroke foolish move, really. What you want is you want to spring clear 2, 3, 4, 5 riders. You want the rest of the group, though, not to be a pack. What you need to do is damage the group behind enough so that the riders are in 1s and 2s, that you have numerical superiority at the front of the group with 4 or 5 riders, all the rest in 1s and 2s, so that you've got the volume and you've got the strongest riders there with you who could go with you, and that ensures that when you go on that final climb, you're in the right position. Now, is that what Gemma Brogan has managed to do with that initial attack, kicking up the main climb? She's just on the left-hand side of the screen, right-hand side of your screen. You can see the group up on to the climb. So at the end of the flatter section, you could tell that distance had opened. Now, we are going to see, is Brogan going to be able to push up with the rest of this category? Are they going to close down on everybody else? So we are just seeing the drop down into the gully coming up. You can see it on the top right hand side, that profile approaching. This is the drop down into the lowest point actually on today's course, comes up very shortly, and we're on to the descent now. You can see the speed is picking up as we drop down. The fantastic graphics here in this revitalized Arabian world on MyWhoosh, really giving you that detail. As we drop down, you can see the gradient. I mean, it's 5%. They are absolutely rocketing. We're talking 60 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, and at 60 kilometers an hour, we've got riders coming back onto this group, and this group growing in numbers. In fact, it is Manshandi, Biarhead and Embring, which are the chase group now, and they're 25 seconds behind. We've just gone through segment 4, and you can see that attacking nature of the front of that category 1 race has given them the fastest time through that segment, but it's not the fastest time by a long way. So Jose Valedez, is the rider going through in 3 minutes and 6 seconds, and the first 9 positions being taken by that category 1 pack. But take a look back there, Matt, 10th, 11th and 12th. That's that category 3 race, and Barco, Ribaldo and Antico who have been pushing on hard.
So those 3 attackers in category 3 have got a great time there. They're up inside the top 12. There is Valdez, who we are in with at the moment, with that fastest time, and she's one of the riders. Remember, this is a long segment that we've just seen going through there, 3K segment going through. It is really all about who was having to push, so who went from the back of the group to the front of the group, or was off the back and came back to a group, or was in a group and were attacked. Because this is a group that was together at the end of that segment, they were off the back at the start of the segment and gone back in. Now, that's on the left-hand side of your screens. Right-hand side of your screen, it's category 2. It's Jenny Sanchez, our solo attacker that we saw on the move 15 seconds down the road nearly from a chasing group. But what she hasn't got is she hasn't got a fractured group behind her. It's one pack.
Well, my apologies to Jenny Sanchez, because I said a lone rider wouldn't go clear, and Sanchez is trying to prove me wrong at the moment, and she's doing a great job about it. You know, so nearly 20 seconds now for Jenny Sanchez. In fact, this pack of category 2 riders cannot see her in the distance. So a fantastic attack and use of the terrain through those tunnels for Sanchez.
And one of those key phrases, isn't it, Emma? Out of sight is out of mind. When you can see there's a rider in front, it's constantly ticking in your brain subconsciously, there's somebody there, and you will constantly chase. At the moment, that's not happening because they're not constantly seeing the rider. Now, we're just taking a look at our category 1 riders. This group are working their way through category 2, 3 and 4 riders now because they are motoring today. We are at half race distance, 17.5 kilometers. Let's give you a quick recap. Category 3 and 4 leaders came together. We have seen a push on at the moment by the category 3, but they've been kept in check by category 4. They are together. They're actually on the left of your screen. In category 2, we have a solo leader at the moment with Jenny Sanchez, who has gone clear of the bunch. And in category number 1, we have a leading bunch of riders who fractured on the first time, and it is all in pieces. So we have 3 and 4 together. Category 2 fractured with the solo leader, and category number 1 with a bunch in the front of the race. Emma at the moment is doing some very complicated maths because she's got her fingers out and counting on them, so clearly way beyond my level of maths. Emma's got her degrees and is a professor and a doctor and all sorts. I'm not. But Emma, come on, tell us the stats that you were working out there.
Utilising my complicated abacus, it's around 4.5 kilometres between the category 1 race and the front of the race field today. So it's still a long way, but we've seen our category 1 riders bring the distance down really quickly on a course like today's, because once they hit that category 1 climb at the bottom, and that category 1 climb is 10.4 kilometres in length. So I think at that stage we'll start to see that distance come down really quickly. Okay,
so the race starting to stabilise a little bit before we head in towards the big climb. Now it's a great opportunity to just do a little bit of a run through of the prize money and the prize structure at stake in qualification and our finals in the Sunday Race Club. It's going to be a real quick summary, just keep you on your head. So essentially 4 categories. Each of those category top 5 riders are eligible for a prize if their result is verified. So basically at the moment the results on the MyWhoosh.com website are live. It will go to unofficial when we finish the race, and then it will become official when all those performances are checked. And we've got some really complicated AI and lots of great tech behind the scenes, as well as a fantastic team at MyWhoosh who are going to be checking that and making sure that's right. That will continue, and there are prizes for the top 5 riders in each individual category. There is no overall prize, so it doesn't matter who comes across the line first overall. And those prizes, well, there's a big range, isn't there? And it's scaled between the categories.
It is indeed scaled between the categories. So if you take first place and a verified first place in category 1, it's 10,000 UAE. If you take first place in category 4, it's 2,160 UAE, and there's a scale between that for category 2 and category 3. So the individual prize money being equal between the men and the women in both races.
And as you can see, the riders really mean that. We've just seen a little bit of a skirmish in category in the category 2 and in the category 1. So remember, it is really fast at the moment. It's really important to be in the top 5, and those prizes are individual when we are in the qualifiers. When we come to the end of the month final, Then there are team prizes as well. When we reach the team prizes, then that is for the fastest 3 riders in a team. So teams need to have at least 3 riders finish in there. Their 3 fastest verified riders' time will be combined, and that gives us our team prizes. So when that comes in, and if my memory serves me correctly, the top team is 50,000 dirham for the riders as they come in category 1, 30,000 for category 2. I think it goes down to it's about 10.5 and then 11,000 for category 4. So it's scaled again in between those 4 categories. Now, of course, it's not the biggest prize fund out there because that is still MyWhoosh, but it is for the MyWhoosh Championships. Remember, guys, new dates. Jump onto the website, follow MyWhoosh on social media for all of the news as it comes out to you. We can't tell you everything we know. We're already not allowed. We're privy to some amazing secrets of what's going to be happening. Do you know what? I'm really excited for it. It's going to be really difficult not to tell everybody what we know because it's going to be an amazing, amazing race. It's got some fantastic riders who are going to be in there. It's got some amazing funds, and the prize fund is $1 million, and that is the biggest prize fund in esports cycling history. It also, of course, is split 50-50 between the men and the women, as all of the prize money is in terms of the Sunday Race Club, and we're looking forward to bringing you all of that action as well. So let's take a jump back in to our race action. I know we've got Fernando Alves at the moment, really trying to push on. Alves at the moment is really attacking. We saw her attacking earlier on. We've seen a push at the top of these climbs. We're just making our way out and along at 20 kilometers of this, nearly 21k of the 35k. She's looking more and more aggressive. Meanwhile, category 3 and 4, Emma, look to calm down slightly.
Yeah, they have indeed. Those 2 groups have come together. When we saw the catch from the category 3 leaders, they came into the back of the category 4 lead group, and they've stayed there. And indeed, they've stayed there now till pretty much the foothills of the main climb, because you can see that now rising ahead of them on the road. So coming in to the bottom of our category 1 climb is the leaders on the road today, and that is the lead of the category 3 race and the lead of the category 4 race all together as they start now on the foothills of this category 1 climb, where they will find the checkered black and white flag at the top. So 7.7%, the gradient is rising, and this pack is now stretching as they move through these foothills. The category 4 race is pushing on further back down the road. We're starting to see this attack from Alves really start to stick at the moment. We've got a little gap here. We've got a chase group behind, and that chase group is currently being led by Jojo Bauer. They're going through segment number 5. Matt, take us through.
Segment number 5, a cracking segment because it's a 3.5k. It is our second longest segment, and what is important here, you can see the move here by Fernando Alves, who has got a 1.5 second faster time than the rest of the group. The rest of the group coming through pretty much together. Then look at Jenny Sanchez. Look at Nelia Arias. Look at Luisa Osario here. They are ahead of Lisian Condero. The riders in 9th, 10th, and 11th place are category 2 riders again. Aggressive racing from our riders across, and it is showing that when the category 2 riders are racing, they are really pushing on. And the time difference is quite substantial, though. Sanchez, 12.5 seconds, much longer for the other 2 riders, and that is because Sanchez is absolutely flying at the moment in category 2. Now, category 1 picking up the riders in green, they're category 2, picking up riders in blue, they're category 3, and our category 1 leaders on the left-hand side of your screen also picking up category 4 riders. Jenny Sanchez at the moment is in no danger of seeing anybody. Yeah. She has pushed on, and if you take a look at the time gap to the chasing group of riders, it is well over 3/4 of a minute. It's rolling between 45 and about 55 seconds. Sanchez has really made a move here, and maybe your comment, Emma, has fired her onto greater things. Maybe
I
you
think
should
she's
tell her she can't make it more often.
She's deliberately going out there to prove me wrong today, and she's doing a great job of it. We're going to will her to the top of that climb and see if she can make this stick, because currently you're right, Matt, it's flickering just sub 50 seconds now. So Jenny Sanchez really pushing on, and it's more than 2 kilometers back to the lead group in the Category 1 race from Jenny Sanchez, who's currently leading this Category 2 race on the road today. So still some big distance between these 2 race packs, whilst the Category 1 group are picking up the back markers of the Category 2 race field. Take a look at that. It's 500 meters between Jenny Sanchez and the chase group in this Category 2 race field.
And it doesn't sound much, but this is one rider versus 12?
Yeah.
13 riders in that group? That is a really impressive performance. But will she pay for this when she comes to that final climb? It's so difficult to get this right, and that is where she's heading. She's on to the start of the slopes at 25.4k. You can see the mountain coming up in front. This is the start of the ascent. This is where it is going to really take its toll. If she's got it wrong, if she's got this right, that gap is going to be maintained or it's going to expand, and the start is steep.
Well, it is indeed, but Sanchez, she's riding her own race here. She's time trialled away from the group. She's time trialling at that consistent pace that she knows she can hold, and she'll know she can hold this pace and for how long she can hold it. This will be very well managed.
Yep, very experienced rider. Now, further down, you can see still on the approach towards our final climb here today. Now, riders are coming in, and this is our Category 1. And if you cast your mind back to the course profile that we saw earlier on, you can see that the riders at the moment are well on the way in to that course. They come in at about 24.5, 25k, so just under 1k to the start of that big climb. This group is pretty much together here as they come through, and you can see I think our lead's going to be in now. Let's have a quick look. Here's our course profile. We are all approaching the Category 1 leaders, approaching the point where we go from the horizontal and we go up at about, it looks on our graphics, 45 degrees, but it is steep. Now, your start is a kicker, and this really does show why you've got to save so much energy. This could be a direct line for the amount of power and energy you need on each section of the course, couldn't it, Emma?
It's a really interesting climb. It is quite stepped, as you can see there. And whilst we say the average gradient is 6.5%, which is steep enough over 10 kilometres, you can see there are kickers and there are much steeper segments and some flatter sections in here to give that overall gradient. So this is going to be a really big challenge for our race fields today. Interestingly enough, it seems to level off a little at the top. There's a bit of a kicker, and then it levels off again before they see that checkered flag. So they really need to push and they really need to work as Bauer and the group are rolling here.
So our riders on the way in. The really important part of this course, the first part is the section here that you can see being taken by Category 2. Category 1 chasing about to go in. There is a segment on that part. Our Category 2 are in it. Category 1 are approaching the start of it, and that is segment number 6. So the riders here, segment 6, 24 to 26.5k, and then 28 to 33, segment number 7. The 2 segments on that climb are going to be really, really telling. The first of those segments being taken here, and you can see Sanchez being chased by this group of riders here. And Emma, Jenny Sanchez has a gap, but it has tumbled.
It has tumbled completely, and these riders couldn't see her. She had about a 45-second gap going into the base of this climb. They are now about 1,500 meters into this climb, and the group are catching Sanchez, and that's because the group had sat up and taken it easy into the base of the climb, and now they are working as hard, if not harder, than Sanchez.
Well, Sanchez is pushing. She's sitting at that pace. You were dead right. Her watts per kilo, her power and her watts per kilo have been very consistent, so about 4.2, 4.5. But the group behind us say something, and you can see what a fantastic camera shot looking backwards. You can see the group coming. In the distance, you can see the roadway below. You can see the coastline, and you can see the climb as they make the junction. They're going to come up through the start of this segment, and this will be telling
Come
a
on,
counter-attack
Sanchez.
now. Sanchez has to try and jump in, but that is going to be so difficult when having put in a long effort to get caught. And I think the time checks in there are going to be very, very indicative on that segment of just how hard it was behind, though. Look at this. This is category 1, and they are on pretty much the same section that we saw.
Wow.
They're just coming out of town. Look how hard they're going.
Well, this group seems to have really woken up now, and they are pushing on and pushing on strongly. They are really kicking now, just sub 6 watts per kilo on the climb, now ticking over 6 watts per kilo from Geraldo Arraias. Bauer and Brogan Del Rocchio is in here as well. And I think we're going to very shortly see these riders start to sweep up the riders in front of them on the road. And it doesn't matter whether the rider in front of you on the road is your own race category or another race category. It's still a huge motivator to this race pack to move past them.
And that's what they're doing now. Good timing there. Guess who they're coming sweeping up on? Their next target in front is going to be one of our category 3 riders. Then in front is going to be actually Angie Parra, our early attacker in category 2, who has been pulled back and overtaken. And this group are now coming up on these lower slopes of the mountain. They've got a long climb ahead. We have a slight leveling as we come around this left and right hand turn. And if you've been watching any of the continental footage, if you watch the men or the women's UAE tour, this is going to look very, very familiar. If you haven't watched the UAE tour, take a look at it. Then think about watching the racing on here, and you'll know just how close the terrain, how close the scenery is mirrored here than the same scenery that you see in the TV coverage of the major international races and the season openers, really, on the international scene for the men's and women's races in the UAE. Great to see our riders on there, and as you can see, the pressure is on. The numbers are going up. 6.97 watts per kilo from Brogan at the moment, so Brogan really winding this up.
Yeah, so Brogan is in here, Geraldo Arraias is in here, Alves, Del Rocchio and Bauer. Then we've got a category 2 rider, Catherine Montoya, who's sticking in with this bunch as long as possible before Sakamoto in this group. So 4 riders now we can see clear, but there's a tail of riders behind, and they are a mix of category 1 and category 2 riders on this climb.
So we came into this climb together. Interesting when you look at the times coming through. You've got Geraldo, Brogan, Alves, you've got Del Rocchio, Sakamoto and Bauer, category 1. Then Montoya from category 2, who clearly has been waiting to put the power down on the climb here. She's one of the riders who came back and caught Sanchez, so had gone from the back towards the front. You've got Reynard, Hadlock, Kokkonen. They are the chasing riders in category 2 who closed down on Sanchez, really putting in a push at the start there. Category 1 riders, you can see that difference in time. Estrada, 6 seconds, nearly 7 seconds slower than Geraldo on there. And Estrada is a cracking rider and climber. And this is all about the pace the riders can put in on this climb. It's a long climb. Remember, today's ascent, 904 meters in total, and there is just short of 700 meters on this climb. Now, Fernanda Alves on the attack again. Really aggressive rider, and really making her presence felt here. Over the top goes Brogan. Brogan has closed down and now pushes onwards. She's putting out some big numbers here, as is Alves. Alves is currently going to have company. 2 riders on her heels. Del Rocchio is right in on her heels, as is Geraldo Arraias. So the riders are really chasing hard here. A little bit further back, you can see that we've got the chase riders trying to stay with them. Interestingly, they have gone past those category 2 riders and dropped them very quickly as we go to one of the slightly easier sections of this climb. It rolls down to 3.5–4%. I'm saying easy. It's absolutely, you're going to be killing the legs at that point, but it's not 8, 9, 10%.
Well, it's not 8, 9, 10%, but it's still very little respite from this climb as Brogan goes over the top and starts to lead this group through. Now, not much further up the road is this pack of Category 2 riders. It's around 700 meters.
Whoa, can you imagine commentating? Never mind riding 700k.
700 meters, this Category 2 pack further up this climb. And I don't think it's long till the likes of Brogan and Alves and Geraldo Arraias see that Category 2 pack. In fact, Angie Parrott is the rider they are now coming up on as they go around this corner. And it was Parrott who made that move early in this Category 2 race. She's about to get caught by Alves, and it won't be long till the rest of that Category 2 field see her.
So here we go. It's going to be interesting to see if Emma's predictions come true. A really interesting point there. Now we're looking at our rider at the front of the race. It's Adriana Barco, the rider leading out in the Category 3 ahead of the chasers behind. You can see Category 4 riders. There are 3 Category 4 riders chasing. They at the moment are vary between 15 and about 20 seconds behind. So at the moment, Gonzalez are leading those 3 riders, leading out that Category 4 competition. You've got Barco from Category 2 who's already overtaken them. And in Category 3, it's Antico, Ribaudo and Higuita who are left chasing. Of those riders, Antico and Ribaudo, realistically, the only ones with any chance of catching up with our current leader on the road, but that is in their own category. Alves is absolutely rocketing on the way up here. So it looks to me like Fernanda Alves is really pushing on the pace. Let's see what she can do. Remember, Sakamoto, Cavallo, as well as Del Rocchio, all chasing in that group with others. Really hard to keep up with our leaders because we are seeing aggressive racing. And what's really good to see, we're not just seeing the Bowers and Brogans that we see regularly in the attack. We're seeing some very different riders up there.
We are seeing a real mix of riders up here today, and we are seeing different riders come onto form at different times, which is absolutely fantastic and is what to be expected. You know, so we shouldn't expect to see the same riders week in, week out, month in, month out, because otherwise something would be wrong with their training programs. So
that's very true. That is really. It's a really good point. You can't, if you are winning everything all the time, that means something's wrong because riders have to peak, don't they?
You do.
And this is a long climb. You could be on form at the bottom and lose at the top pretty much.
Yeah, and let's take Gemma Brogan, for example. Gemma Brogan is a rider who has really come into form in the last 4 to 6 weeks, and we've seen some outstanding performances from her. A strong rider who we've regularly saw before that in the top 20, but she obviously wasn't in the peak of her form, and that has come forward in the early part of this year. And Brogan has been riding really strongly recently. So obviously her training program mapped around this particular time of year and to come out strong early on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. And as we can see here, Brogan is in this pack. She's pushing on. Fernanda Alves is the one who's moving forward at the front. Sakamoto is doing the chasing. Brogan in 3. Those 3 riders on this Category 1 race are now clear of the rest, and we've got the mix of Category 2 riders in there as they sweep them up on the road.
And this move, we are seeing the yo-yo, and we are seeing the riders change at the front, Emma, but we are still not seeing the Category 1 leaders breaking into the top 20 on the road overall. We are currently at 28.5 kilometers. We've got, well, basically 6.5k to go. We've not got very far to go. Well, these riders need to squeeze on, don't they? I know they're going quicker. Do you think we're going to see Category 1 actually be the first rider across the road?
We may have 6.5k to go, but we've got 6.5k of a very steep climb to go. We've probably got between 15 and 20 minutes left of racing, which is actually quite a lot of racing still to take place under these riders' wheels. So I think we may well see some movement here. Taking a look at Barco, who's our #1 rider on the road, she is less than a kilometre ahead of Fernanda Alves. So, and interesting for our viewers, you can see the difference in time there. Barco has been on the road 1 hour and 1 minute. Al's 51 minutes, so the 10-minute difference in start time. And slowly, the Category 1 pack have been moving through the field, and I think they are now going to start ticking these groups and these riders off quite quickly on this climb.
And that's because of that amplification that happens when you push that gradient up. Riding on the flat, you can hide a little bit in a group. You can take advantage of a fast group coming through. And the draft, that does not happen at 12 kilometers an hour, 15 kilometers an hour. As you can see, our riders, it's almost dot to dot on the right-hand side. That childhood game of join the dots up to draw a picture. Well, the picture that is being drawn here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club is definitely going to be a bit of a masterpiece for our winners, because at the moment, Fernanda Alves is really pushing on in the Category 1 lead. She's repeatedly attacked, and this time she's got a little bit more ground and stayed clear for longer, but it is by no means over behind. Then in the chasing categories, category number 2, we have seen repeated attacks in the early stages. The group has gone away. It's come back together. We've got some real contenders in terms of people like Kekkonen, Chinelli, Lanteri, Hadlock and co. This pack here riding strong. Novelin Kekkonen up the road into 8th position, the leader in category number 2. So really continuing to push her way up through this group. We then have a little bit of a stretch ahead of Kekkonen to the riders in front. You can see them on the right-hand side of your screen, both on the road display graphic, the sat-nav with the riders up in front in those red and blue dots, but you can also see the time gaps on the right-hand side of your screen. So Higuita is about 30 seconds up the road. You can see Gonzalez 21 seconds at the moment, and as you look up the road, we are looking right up to the riders like Antico. She's at 50 seconds. Barco, our leader on the road, currently has 1 minute gap, a 1 minute gap. And if you are covering, I'm going to let you do the maths at home, if you're covering 20 kilometers per hour on an average speed, and you have 1 minute separating each other in terms of time, what does that equal on the road? You work it out. I'm not going to try and do the maths and embarrass myself publicly more than I do anyway.
That's a good exam question, isn't it?
It could be. It's like something out of some exam question at school. Basically, have you got enough time to close down the race lead? And the answer is probably yes. We are going to find out, because, of course, these avatars are powered by real humans riding at home in the pain cave, in the gym.
Yeah, and you know what, Matt? They're not doing a constant pace. They are up and down and up and down, and utilising a fantastic racecraft to catch riders on this climb. And we're seeing that here because Reynard is being caught by these women who are leading this Category 1 race at the moment as they move up this climb. But, you know,
she's trying to jump in here.
Well, she's a class Category 2 rider, and we've seen her finish in the top 5 in Category 2. She knows what she's doing, but the pace of this Category 1 pack, I don't think she's going to be able to stay with them.
I mean, they're moving at nearly 7 watts per kilo. That is a phenomenal pace, and Reynard is pushing. But look at this. Fernanda Alves has been caught once again. So Sakamoto has gone onto the wheel of Fernanda Alves. She's got with her company. Gerardo's made it. DeRocchio's made it. They are coming up. Meanwhile, front of the race on the road, left-hand side of your screen, you're just seeing Novelin Kekkonen. She has been charging up here. She's been the locomotive that has been pulling this Category 2 train. And this rate, we could see a group sprint between Category 2 for the line, because we've got so many riders together and they are about to make their way up. They're nearly up at the front of the race in its totality, but we still have riders clear in front that they have to catch, but the gaps are well and truly coming down. And I'll tell you something, Category 2 racing, it is increasingly ferocious, it's increasingly close, and this is on a climb. This could be an absolute smash fest. If these riders have anything left, if they are not laid on the floor, curled up in a little ball at the end of this, having fallen off their turbo trainers at home, I'll be very surprised.
Well, I think we said last week, Matt, the Category 2 field is extremely competitive. I think last month we had 12 riders finish in the top 5 positions across the months, which shows you the strength and the depth in the field. And I think we're seeing that again today with this strong pack of Category 2 riders all together on this climb. They might be chasing Jenny Sanchez, but you know what? They may well catch her.
So let's see who can put the power in. Who's going to do that attack? Luisa Fernanda Osorio Gutierrez on the move in Category 2. So Gutierrez leading that Category 2, but right behind now, you can see the lead here. And we're seeing another change. Alves is on the defensive. She's trying to close her down. Now on the run in front of her, and that is Gerardo Arias. And at the moment, Gerardo Arias is the rider who is pushing on here. And it looks like Alves and Sakamoto, Del Rocchio, the only riders who can go. 4 riders left in Category 1. They are coming up on Category 2 and on Kekkonen and going over the top of Kekkonen. So Category 1 catches Category 2 after having a 5-minute head start to close down. And at the moment, Kekkonen has jumped in with them and has taken a little bit of advantage. But you can see Fernanda Alves is playing every card she's got at the moment, every opportunity. She is smashing those cards down, but Kekkonen has gone with them again. And look at this, Noveline Kekkonen, she's seen another move go. She's going with them. She's got something left here. Is it going to be Kekkonen's day for Category 2?
Well, that's a really good question, Matt, but Kekkonen is really strong, you know. I'm taking a little bit of a look back. Kekkonen finished 3rd in our February final. She wasn't in the top 5 last week, but perhaps different courses are playing out here, because last week we were in Australia on the Wollongong course, which is so different to this course today. This course with the long climb coming at the end, this Category 1 10-kilometre climb, really obviously suiting Kekkonen because she has excelled on this course before.
She has, Emma, and I think your point's really true there. If we go back into the dim and distant past, one of my first races commentating for MyWhoosh on the Sunday Race Club, Noveline Kekkonen in category went up the road and then held on, and she was actually the 2nd rider to finish on the course. She was closed down in the last few meters of the climb, and that was on the Yebel her feet. She loves this course, absolutely fine class act. Now, let's go back to the racing. We've got Barco leading. We've got Antico behind both Category 3 riders. We've then got Gerardo Arias on your screen at the moment with Alves, Del Rocchio and Sakamoto chasing. Sakamoto has lost contact with the leading group of 3 riders who are coming up on Alicia, Antico and on Barco as we speak.
Yeah, so our leading group of what looks to be 3 Category 1 riders, because Sakamoto's now got a gap of 15 seconds back to her. So 3 riders now in the lead of this Category 1 race now, catching the 2 leaders on the road who were Category 3 riders. Alessia Antico is the rider they've just gone past, and they've got Barco as the only rider out front, but Barco is no longer out front because Geraldo Arias, Alves and Del Rocchio have all gone past. So our Category 1 leaders now leading on the road, and I'm loving that Barco's put a big dig in to try and go with them, but that was probably almost a sprint for Barco. I don't know how she had the effort in her legs after this climb to kick to try and go with this Category 1 group of women, as we see Del Rocchio push on at the front, and now the race is on for this Category 1 group of women today.
And you saw that there, it levelled off, it allowed Barco to go with the group, that slight levelling, but the moment it went uphill again, Del Rocchio attacked, the 2 Category 1 riders responded, and our Category 3 rider could not come across with them. Now, behind, Kelly Sakamoto is chasing. She's just come off that slightly flatter section, that slight pause, that plateauing out, before we go back up onto the climb, the next step up on this ascent of the mountain. At the moment, Fernanda Alves, with Geraldo Arias and Del Rocchio, they are our top 3 riders in category number 1. Behind it's Barco and Tico in category number 3. You're leading category 2 rider. Well, it keeps changing because we have a group of riders together. we are going to see a real fight into the finish here for our Category 1 riders, our Category 2, our Category 3, and our Category 4 riders, who are all well into their ascent of the mountain here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club.
Yeah, so we're in with Kelly Sakamoto. She's pushing on here, but she is chasing and chasing hard. But the top 3 riders in the category are much further down the road. They're 25 seconds down the road now. So Sakamoto in 4th in this Category 1 race. Barco and Antico 1 and 2 in the Category 3 race are what is separating her from the top 3 in Category 1. Gemma Brogan currently in 5th in that Category 1 race. Fernanda in 1 in the Category 2 race, with Kekkonen in 2 on her wheels. So there's still all to play for in these last 3 kilometres for our different race fields today.
There's everything to play for. And we've seen this coming together, and the split. We have still, let's remind viewers, 2.5 kilometres to the finish. At this stage for Kelly Sakamoto, it's a little bit less. It is going to be 2 kilometres for our leaders, who are at 32.85k and increasing on the way up this climb. So Gerardo Arias is right up on this front group, as is Alves, as is Del Rocchio. They are your top 3 riders. They have a gap of half a minute back to Sakamoto, and another big push comes through, another response. You are seeing these riders really testing each other as we come to the end of the segment, and these Category 1 riders are going to set the fastest time, and it's going to be blisteringly quick on that segment. Let's take a look. The times will come in live now. So this is live as we're watching it. Top 3 riders in, Emma. Nothing separating them, and some massive power.
Yeah, it is indeed. So Geraldo Arias, 14 minutes 22 to go through that segment number 7. Now segment number 7, 5 kilometres in distance, and nothing really separating that top 3. Just 2 seconds back from Geraldo Arias to Alves.
So you can see brilliant split screen here. Love this. Segment 7 live on the right hand side. You can see the riders approaching the banner on the left hand side, and these times are going to come thick and fast. This is just for, as Emma has just said, that 5k segment. Remember, this is just for the 5k. This is all climbing, and this is telling you who's moving. You've seen our first 3 coming: Gerardo Arias, then Del Rocchio, then Alves. Then it's Kelly Sakamoto coming in through on her own, and now we're going to see a real rush. And when you can be able to compare the times of our Category 1 riders, Gerardo Arias 14:22, with the riders who lead in Categories 3, 4, and so on.
So the large pack just coming underneath that banner, and you're seeing the numbers now come through on the results of segment number 7. Brogan 1 minute 12 back, and then we go through to the front of the Category 2 race. Kekkonen fastest up that segment, with Jadlock and Osorio in 2nd and 3rd, and Tico the fastest Category 3 rider up that 5 kilometre segment on this climb today. 5 minutes 23 slower than the leader Geraldo Arias in Category 1.
And a fantastic snapshot on the differences in pace from the riders coming up on that part of the climb. Really indicative of the rest of the race, and it shows you just those differences in category. There's a category for everybody to come and race in here on the Sunday Race Club on MyWhoosh. And if you think you're big enough and tough enough, you can come and race with the riders at the front here. I tell you something, there is no way on this planet you would get me racing against the riders at the front here, because they are going to decimate me on any climb, on any terrain, to be honest, that they go in. This is world-class riding by world-class riders up here, with Del Rocchio, Geraldo Arias, and Alves leading on the right-hand side of your screen. The gap they've got to Kelly Sakamoto, it is substantially enough to take them to the finish. And as you can see, we are approaching the top of the climb. We have less than 1 kilometre for our leaders. We have just under 1.5 for the chaser, the sole chaser, Sakamoto behind. And now it's all about who has got something left, isn't it, Emma?
It is indeed, and we saw very briefly back, then the numbers drop and the numbers dip a little bit. But we're starting to see the first attack, and the first attack is coming from Del Rocchio, but it was a quick attack of 10 watts per kilo, and then she's backed off. Geraldo Reyes has gone over the top, but steadying back out again. You know, these women not sure about how far that finish line is, and it's still some distance, you know, 600 meters up that climb, but they are attacking fast and furious already.
And we've got a steep section coming up. You can see it going around to the right-hand side of the bend. So we can just start to see the turn coming in here. It's going to be a real ferocious finish as they come in to the finish here today. You can see we are coming in, right-hand bend coming up. We're at 34.7K covered. We've got 2 cameras watching our riders here. This is going to be really interesting. The chase is on your left hand side, but the right hand side is where it's going to produce the race win today. We're now coming in with less than 200 meters. Emma,
150 meters to go. We've got Geraldo Reyes on the front. Del Rocchio is kicking. Geraldo Reyes kicking at 10 watts per kilo. Alves is in 3. They are moving through. Geraldo Reyes kicks. Del Rocchio's on the front. The banner is coming, but the gradient is steep. It's just shy of 10% as they're coming up over the top of the climb. Del Rocchio is going to take this, I think, from Geraldo Reyes, indeed, with Alves in 3.
So that's your top 3 as they came through. Del Rocchio in 1, Geraldo Reyes in 2, Alves in 3. Fantastic riding, big distance he's put in on the top of the climb by our top 3 riders there. But it was Del Rocchio who had the measure of the slope, and that was a great ride by her, wasn't it? Her timing, she went to the front, but then she held it, and I don't know about you, Emma, I thought she was going to get closed down, because it's very rare you can hold on. Normally, the advantage is behind, and they can come past and just roll you on the line.
That top 3 had been kicking for the final kilometre, and I think it really was about timing and who got their timing right as to who took the win there. And Del Rocchio is the rider who did that from Geraldo Reyes from Alves, and you can see a 1 hour and 7 minute winning time, much faster than the winning time in February, which was 1 hour and 11. So as we saw today, much more action on the front of these race fields today, with a much more attacking style of racing than we've seen on this course in the past.
Yeah, definitely. It's really interesting to see how these riders coming through. Kelly Sakamoto is on her way up the climb, currently 4th. Remember, all these results at the moment are unofficial. They're live at the moment. They become unofficial. So the riders come through to finish. It will then be verified. The riders' performance is checked, as with all esports, to make sure that everything is correct. Kelly Sakamoto coming over the line in what is going to be 4th place. This is the fight for 5th and 6th places, and looks like Carvajal at the moment with the lead on the Brogan. So Carvajal just continuing to push up here. So Milena Carvajal, it should come through to take a 5th place. It's going to be Gemma Brogan coming through in 6th position behind. Let's check that out on the scoreboards to make sure my maths is right. Very dangerous thing it is indeed. So 107.40 for Del Rocchio in the lead, and 109.38 and a 41 for Carvajal and Brogan. And now this is the run for the line behind. We're seeing the leaders of Category 2 come in, and it is going to be Asario who's going to take the win from Kekkonen. So Kekkonen overtaken in the last stage, and then it was Hadlock. So this is currently our top 10 riders in and through the line. Del Rocchio, Geraldo Reyes, followed by Alves, Sakamoto, Carvajal and Brogan in Category 1. That's your top 6. In Category 2, Asario, Kekkonen, Hadlock and Lanteri. They are the top 4 riders in Category 2. And don't forget, of course, all of our riders recorded when they come in and across the line. So some great racing here today. Emma, fantastic action, and those numbers are really impressive. It's been great to watch the action. So takeaways from this, come and ride it, I guess.
Well, indeed, if you want to come and join us, take a look on the MyWhoosh.com website. Sign up under the events page for the Sunday Race Club next week. Come and join us on the start line.
So come and join Emma. Emma, it's been a pleasure having you in the commentary booth in the studios. Where can we find you on social media?
Oh, please do come and find me on social media at Biking Emma. Or you can find us at Full Speed Events. Get in touch, give us your latest information, tell us a little bit about you, and then we can weave that in.
And of course, my name's Matt Payne. It's been an absolute pleasure putting words to action. You can find me at Matt Fix Payne on social media. Make sure you give MyWhoosh a subscribe. Come and watch all of the race action. We will be back very shortly with the men's race, and that will be coming up on the MyWhoosh YouTube channel. In the meantime, get entered. Jump in, get in touch with us. So from Emma, from our riders, from all of the big team at MyWhoosh behind the scenes, thank you very much. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.